ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaskar, my dear friends. I am giving you video number 9 on Maharshi Ramana, talks with Maharshi Ramana. I start with talk number 137. Lakshmana Brahmachari of Sri Ramakrishna Mission asked, can one imagine oneself as witness of the thoughts? Maharshi, it is not the natural state, it is only an idea, bhavana, an aid to stilling the mind. The self is ever the witness, whether so imagined or not. There is no need to so imagine except for that purpose. But it is best to remain as one's self. Talk 138. The financial secretary of Mysore asked, is Paul Brunton's secret path useful for Indians as well? Maharshi, yes, for all. Devotee, the body, the senses, etc. are not I. This is common amongst us, but how to practice it? Maharshi, by the threefold method mentioned therein, devotee, is breath control necessary for enquiry? Maharshi, not quite. Devotee, there is a blankness intervening, it is said in the book. Maharshi, yes, do not stop there. See for whom the blankness appears. Devotee, for devotees there is no blankness, it is said. Maharshi, even there is the latent state, laya. The mind wakes up after some time. Devotee, what is the experience of samadhi? Maharshi, it is as it is. For onlookers it may seem to be a swoon. Even to the practitioner it may appear so in the early experiences. After a few repeated experiences it will be all right. Devotee, do they soothe the nadis or do they excite them by such experiences? Maharshi, they are excited at first. By continued experience it becomes common and the man is no longer excited. Devotee, proceeding on safe lines, there should be no unpleasantness. Excitement is uncongenial to smooth being and working. Uncongenial to smooth being and working. Maharshi, a wandering mind is on the wrong way, only a devotional mind is on the right way. 19th January 1936, talk number 139. Mr. Ellappa Chettiar, a member of the Legislative Council from Salem, asked, is it enough to introvert the mind or should we meditate on I am Brahma? Maharshi, to introvert the mind is the prime thing. The Buddhists consider the flow of I thought to be liberation, whereas we say that such flow proceeds from its underlying substratum, the only reality. Why should one be meditating I am Brahma? Only the annihilation of I is liberation, but it can be gained only by keeping the I always in view. So, the need for investigation of the I thought. If the I is not let go, no blank can result to the seeker. Otherwise, meditation will end in sleep. There is only one I all along, but what arises up from time to time is the mistaken I thought, whereas the intuitive I always remains self-shining and even before it becomes manifest. Intuitive I means Atma. The birth of the gross body does not amount to one's own birth. On the other hand, the birth of the ego is one's own birth. For liberation, nothing new remains to be gained. It is the original state and continues unchanged too. Talk number 140, devotee. What is reality? Maharshi, reality must be always real. It is not with forms and names. That which underlies these is the reality. It underlies limitations, being itself limitless. It is not bound. It is underlies unrealities, itself being real. Reality is that which is. It is as it is. It transcends speech beyond the expressions. For example, existence, non-existence, etc. Talk 141. The same gentleman later, after quoting a verse from Kabbalah, asked, "Can jnana be lost after being once attained?" Maharshi, jnana once revealed takes time to steady itself. The self is certainly within the direct experience of everyone, but not as one imagines it to be. It is only as it is. This experience is samadhi. Just as fire remains without scorching against incantations or other devices but scorches otherwise, so also the self remains veiled by vasanas and reveals itself when there are no vasanas. Owing to fluctuation of the vasanas, jnana takes time to steady itself. Unsteady jnana is not enough to check rebirth. Jnana cannot remain unshaken side by side with vasanas. True that in the proximity of great master, the vasanas will cease to be active, the mind becomes still and samadhi results, similar to fire not scorching because of other devices. Thus the disciple gains a true knowledge and right experience in the presence of the master. To remain unshaken in it, further efforts are necessary. He will know it to be his real being and thus be liberated even while alive. Samadhi with closed eyes is certainly good, but one must go further until it is realized that actionlessness and actions are not hostile to each other. Fear of loss of samadhi while one is active is the sign of ignorance. Samadhi must be the natural life of everyone. There is a state beyond our efforts or effortlessness. Until it is realized, effort is necessary. After tasting such bliss, even once, one will repeatedly try to regain it. Having once experienced the bliss of peace, no one would like to be out of it or engaged himself otherwise. It is as difficult for a jnani to engage in thoughts as it is for an ajnani to be free from thought. The common man says that he does not know himself. He thinks many thoughts and cannot remain without thinking. Any kind of activity does not affect a jnani. His mind remains ever in eternal peace. 20th January 1936, talk number 142. Mr. Prakasa Rao from Bezawada, does not illusion become inoperative even before identity with Brahma results? Brahma Akaravirti, or does it persist even afterwards? Maharshi, Illusion will not persist after vasanas are annihilated. In the interval between the knowledge of the identity and annihilation of vasanas, there will be illusion. Devotee, how can the world influence a man even after identity with Brahma? Maharshi, first do it and see. You can then raise this question if necessary. Devotee, can we know it in the same way as we know our identity? Mercy, are you different from the mind? How do you expect it to be known? Devotee, can the full scope of the Chitta Vilasa be known? Mercy, oh, is this the identity of Brahma? Ignorance vanishing, the residue reveals itself. It is experience, not in the category of knowledge. 23rd January 1936, talk number 143. Mr. P. Brunton asked Sri Bhagwan if the hill here is hollow. Maharshi, the Puranas say so. When it is said that the heart is a cavity, penetration into it proves it to be an expanse of light. Similarly, the hill is one of light. The caves, etc., are covered up by the light. Devotee, are there caves inside? Maharshi, in visions I have seen caves, cities with streets, etc., and a whole world in it. Devotee, are there siddhas too in it? Maharshi, all the siddhas are reputed to be there. Devotee, are there only siddhas or others also? Maharshi, just like this world. Devotee, siddhas are said to be in the Himalayas. Maharshi, Kailas is on the Himalayas. It is the abode of Shiva, whereas this hill is Shiva himself. All the paraphernalia of his abode must also be where he himself is. Devotee, does Bhagwan believe that the hill is hollow, etc.? Mercy, everything depends on the viewpoint of the individual. You yourself have seen hermitages, etc. on this hill in a vision. You have described such in your book. Devotee, yes, it was on the surface of the hill. The vision was within me. Mercy, that is exactly so. Everything is within one's self. To see the world, there must be a spectator. There could be no world without the self. The self is all comprising. In fact, self is all. There is nothing besides the self. Devotee, what is the mystery of this hill? Maharshi, just as you have said in secret Egypt, the mystery of the pyramid is the mystery of the self. So also the mystery of this hill is the mystery of the self. Major Chadwick, I do not know if the self is different from the ego. Mercy, how were you in your deep sleep? Devotee, I do not know. Mercy, who does not know? Is it not the waking of self? Do you deny your existence in your deep sleep? Devotee, I was and I am, but I do not know who was in deep sleep. Maharshi, exactly. The man awake says that he did not know anything in the state of sleep. Now he sees the objects and knows that he is there. Whereas in deep sleep there were no objects, no spectator, etc. The same one who is now speaking was in deep sleep also. What is the difference between these two states? There are objects and play of senses now which were not in sleep. A new entity, the ego, has risen up in the meantime. It plays through the senses, sees the objects, confounds itself with the body, and says that the self is the ego. In reality, what was in deep sleep continues to exist now too. The self is changeless. It is the ego that has come back to win. That which rises and sets is the ego. That which remains changeless is the self. The most important point. Self is changeless. Ego is ever changing. So during sleep, ego was absent, self was there, self is during sleep, self is there, present during dream, self is there in the waking state. So, in deep sleep, there is self, but ego is absent. So, we have to remember this thing. Talk number 144. Mr. Prakasara, what is the root cause of Maya? Maharishi puts a counter question, what is Maya? Devotee, Maya is wrong knowledge, illusion. Mercy, for whom is the illusion? There must be one to be deluded. Illusion is ignorance. The ignorant self sees the objects according to you. When the objects are not themselves present, how can Maya exist? Maya is Yama. Maya is what is not. What remains over is the true self. If you say that you see the objects, or if you say that you do not know the real unity, then are there two selves? One the knower and the other the knowable object. No one will admit of two selves in himself. The awakened man says that he himself was in deep slumber but not aware. He does not say that the sleeper was different from the present one. There is only one self. That self is always aware. It is changeless. There is nothing but the self. Devotee, what is the astral body? Mercy, do you not have a body in your dream? Is it not different from the recumbent body on the bed? Devotee, do we survive after death? Does the astral body outlive physical death? Mercy, just as in dreams, you wake up after several novel experiences, so also after physical death another body is found, and so on. Devotee, they say that the astral body lives for 40 years after death. Mercy, in the present body you say the dream body is astral. Did you say so in the dream body? What is astral now would appear real then? The present body itself is astral according to that viewpoint. What is the difference between one astral body and another? There is no difference between the two. Mr. Paul Brunton, there are degrees of reality. Maharishi, to say the dream body is unreal now and to say that this body was unreal in the dream does not denote degrees of reality. In deep sleep there is no experience of the body at all. There is always only one, and that is the self. Talk number 145. Mr. Paul Brunton, why do religions speak of gods, heavens, hell, etc.? Mercy, only to make the people realize that they are on a par with this world and that the self alone is real. The religions are according to the viewpoint of seeker. Take the Bhagavad Gita for instance, when Arjuna said that he would not fight against his own relatives, his elders, etc., in order to kill them and gain the kingdom. Sri Krishna said, not that these you or I were not before, are not now, nor will not be hereafter. Nothing was born, nothing was dead, nor will it not be so hereafter. And so on. Later, as he developed the theme and declared that he had given the same instruction to the sun through him to Iskwaku, etc., Arjuna raised the doubt, how could it be? You were born a few years ago, they lived ages ago. Then Sri Krishna understanding Arjuna's standpoint, said, "Yes, there have been so many incarnations of myself and yourself. I know them all, but you do not know." Such statements appear contradictory, but still they are correct according to the viewpoint of the questioner. The Christ also declared that he was even before Abraham. Devotee, what is the purpose of such descriptions in religions? Mercy, only to establish the reality of the self. Devotee, Bhagwan always speaks from the highest standpoint. Is Sri Bhagwan with a smile. People who do not understand the simple and bare truth, the truth of their everyday, ever present and eternal experience. That truth is that of the self. Is there anyone not aware of the self? They would not even like to hear it, the self, whereas they are eager to know what lies beyond heaven, hell, reincarnation, because they love mystery and not the bare truth. Religions pamper them only to bring them round to the self, wandering hither and thither. You must return to the self only. Then why not abide in the self even here and now? The other words require the self as a spectator or speculator. Their reality is only of the same degrees as that of the spectator or thinker. They cannot exist without the spectator, etc. Therefore, they are not different from the self. Even the ignorant man sees only the self when he sees objects, but he is confused and identifies the self with the object, that is the body, and with the senses, and plays in the world. Subject and object all merge in the self. There is no seer nor object seen. The seer and seen are the self. There are not many selves either. All are only one self. 26th January 1936, talk number 146. In reply to Miss Leena Sarabhai, a cultured Indian lady of high rank, Sri Bhagwan said, "The state of equanimity is the state of bliss. The declaration in the Vedas, I am this or that, is only an aid to gain equanimity of mind." Devotee, so it is wrong to begin with a goal, is it? Maharshi, if there be a goal to be reached, it cannot be permanent. The goal must already be there. We seek to reach the goal with the ego, but the ego exists before the ego. What is in the goal is even prior to our birth, that is, to the birth of the ego. Because we exist, the ego appears to exist too. If we look on the self as the ego, then we become the ego. If as the mind, we become the mind. If as the body, we become the body. It is the thought which builds up seeds in so many ways. The shadow on the water is found to be shaking. Can anyone stop the shaking of the shadow? If it should cease to shake, you would not notice the water but only the light. Similarly, to take no notice of the ego and its activities, but see only the light behind, the ego is the I thought, the true I is the self. Devotee, it is one step to realization. Mercy, realization is already there. The state free from thoughts is the only real state. There is no such action as realization. Is there anyone who is not realizing the self? Does anyone deny his own existence? Speaking of realization, it implies two selves, the one to realize, the other to be realized. What is not already realized is sought to be realized. Once we admit our existence, how is it that we do not know ourselves? Devotee, because of the thoughts, the mind. Mercy, quite so. It is the mind that stands between and veils our happiness. How do we know that we exist? If you say because of the world around us, then how do you know that you existed in deep sleep? Devotee, how to get rid of the mind? Maharshi, is it the mind that wants to kill itself? The mind cannot kill itself. So your business is to find the real nature of the mind. Then you will know that there is no mind. When the self is thought, the mind is nowhere. Abiding in the self, one need not worry about the mind. Devotee, how to get rid of fear? Mercy, what is fear? It is only a thought. If there is anything besides the self, there is reason to fear. Who sees the second? Anything external. First, the ego arises and sees objects as external. If the ego does not rise, the self alone exists and there is no second, nothing external. For anything external to oneself implies the seer within. Seeking it there will arise no doubt, no fear, not only fear. All other thoughts centered around the ego will disappear along with it. Devotee, this method seems to be quicker than the usual one of cultivating qualities alleged necessary for salvation, sadhana, chatushtaya. Mercy, yes, all bad qualities center around the ego. When the ego is gone, realization results by itself. There are neither good nor bad qualities in the self. The self is free from all qualities. Qualities pertain to the mind only. It is beyond quality. If there is unity, there will also be duality. The numeral one gives rise to other numbers. The truth is neither one nor two, it is as it is. Devotee, the difficulty is to be in the thought-free state. Maharshi, leave the thought-free state to itself. Do not think of it as pertaining to you. Just as when you walk, you involuntarily take steps, so too in your actions. But the thought-free state is not affected by your actions. Devotee, what is that? It's discriminative in action. Maharshi, discrimination will be automatic, intuitive. Devotee, so intuition alone matters. Intuition dwells also. Maharshi, those who have discovered great truths have done so in the still depths of the self. The ego is like one's shadow thrown on the ground. If one attempts to bury it, it will be foolish. The self is only one. If limited, it is the ego. If unlimited, it is infinite and is the reality. The bubbles are different from one another and numerous, but the ocean is only one. Similarly, the egos are many, whereas the self is one and only one. When told that you are not the ego, realize the reality. Why do you still identify yourself with the ego? It is like saying, don't think of the monkey while taking medicine. It is impossible. Similarly, it happens with common folk. When the reality is mentioned, why do you continue to meditate Shivoham or Aham Brahmasmi? The significance must be traced and understood. It is not enough to repeat the bare words or think of them. Reality is simply the loss of the ego. Destroy the ego by seeking its identity. Because the ego is no entity, it will automatically vanish and reality will shine forth by itself. This is the direct method. Whereas all other methods are done only retaining the ego. In those paths there arise so many doubts and the eternal question remains to be tackled finally. But in this method, the final question is the only one and it is raised from the very beginning. No sadhanas are necessary for engaging in this quest. There is no greater mystery than this, which ourselves being the reality, we seek to gain reality. We think that there is something hiding our reality and that it must be destroyed before the reality is gained. It is ridiculous. A day will dawn when you will yourself laugh at your past efforts. That which will be on the day you laugh is also here and now. Devotee, so it is a great game of pretending, Maharshi. Yes, in Yoga Vasishtha it is said, what is real is hidden from us, but what is false is revealed as true. We are actually experiencing the reality only, still we do not know it. Is it not a wonder of wonders? The quest, who am I, is the axe with which to cut off the ego. Talk number 147. In answer to a Kenri's sannyasi, Sri Bhagwan said, there are different grades of mind. Realization is of perfection. It cannot be comprehended by the mind. Sarvajnanavata, the state of all knowing, is to be Sarvam, the all. The all pertains only to the mind. The known and unknown together form the all. After transcending the mind, you remain as the self. The present knowledge is only of limitation. That knowledge is unlimited being, so it cannot be comprehended by this knowledge. Cease to be a knower, then there is perfection. 27th January 1936. Talk number 148. A Gujarati gentleman said that he was concentrating on sound nada and desired to know if the method was right. Mercy, meditation on nada is one of the several approved methods. The adherents claim a very special virtue for the method. According to them, it is the easiest and the most direct method. Just as a child is lulled to sleep by lullabies, so nada soothes the one to the state of samadhi. Again, just as a king sends his state musicians to welcome his son on his return from a long journey, so also nada takes the devotee into the Lord's abode in a pleasing manner. Nada helps concentration. After it is felt, the practice should not be made an end in itself. Nada is not the objective, the subject should firmly be held, otherwise a blank will result. Though the subject is there even in the blank, he would not be aware of the cessation of nada of different kinds. In order to be aware even in that blank, one must remember his own self. Nada upasana, meditation on sound, is good. It is better if associated with investigation vichara. In that case, the nada is made up of chinmaya and also tanmaya, of knowledge and of self. Nada helps concentration. 28th January 1936, talk number 149. In reply to a sadhu who asked if bhakti consisted in forgetting the body, etc., Sri Bhagwan said, "What do you care for the body? Practice bhakti and don't worry about what happens to the body." Talk number 150. Mrs. and Mr. Kelly, an elderly couple from America, and others of their company desire to know what they should do to gain concentration in face of discomforts of sitting and the sting of mosquitoes, etc. Mercy. The discomforts will not worry you if your concentration is right. Do not mind the discomforts. Keep your mind steady in meditation. If you have not the strength and endurance to bear mosquito stings, how do you hope to gain realization of the self? Realization must be amidst all the turmoils of life. If you make yourself comfortable and go to bed, you fall asleep. Face the troubles, but keep yourself steady in meditation. 31st January 1936, talk number 151. The American gentleman is a little hard of hearing. Being accustomed to be self-reliant from his youth, he naturally feels worried on account of his hearing becoming defective. Mercy. You are not self-reliant, you were ego-reliant. It is good that ego-reliance is banished and that you become truly self-reliant. Again, Bhagwan said, there is no cause for worry. Subjugation of senses is a necessary preliminary for self-realization. One sense is subdued for you by God Himself, so much the better. The questioner said that he appreciated the humor, but that still his self-respect suffered. Mercy, the self is only one. Do you feel hurt if you blame yourself or scorn yourself for your errors? If you hold the self, there is no second person to scorn you. When you see the world, you have lost hold of the self. On the contrary, hold the self and the world will not appear. 1st February 1936, talk number 152. Mrs. Kelly desired to know how she should best learn to meditate. Sri Bhagwan asked if she had made japa, rolling beads as Roman Catholics do. She said no. Mercy, have you thought of God, His qualities, etc.? Devotee, I have read, talked, etc. about such themes. Mercy, well, if the same be revolved in the mind without open expression through the senses, it is meditation. Devotee, I mean meditation as signified in the secret path, and who am I? Mercy, long for it intentionally so that the mind melts in devotion. After the camphor burns away, no residue is left. The mind is the camphor when it has resolved itself into the self without leaving even the slightest trace behind. It is a realization of the self. 4th February 1936, talk number 153. Some Peshawaris, among them a judicial commissioner and a young man well read and earnest with a strong belief in the existence of Paramatman, Supreme Self, as different from the Jivatman, individual self, raised some questions. Sri Bhagwan cleansed his various doubts by this one statement: remove the upadhis adjuncts Jiva and Prama from the Atma and say if you still find the difference. If later these doubts still persist, ask yourself, who is the doubter? Who is the thinker? Find him, these doubts will vanish. 5th February 1936, talk number 154. The next day he asked about pranayama. Maharshi, pranayama according to Jnana is na ahem, I am not this, out breathing. Koham, who am I, in breathing. Soham, I am he, retention of breath. Naham, koham, soham. This is vichara. This vichara brings about the desired results. For one not so advanced as to engage in it, some meditation brings about suspension of breath and the mind ceases to be restless. Control of mind spontaneously affects control of breath. Rather, kevala kumbhaka, spontaneous retention of breath without attention to inhalation or exhalation results. For one unable to do this also, regulation of breath is prescribed for making the mind quiescent. Quiescence lasts only so long as the breath is controlled, so it is transient. The goal is clearly not pranayama. It extends on to pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. Those stages deal with control of mind. Such control becomes easier for the man who had earlier practiced pranayama. Pranayama leads him to higher stages involving control of mind. Therefore, control of mind is the aim of yoga also. A more advanced man will naturally go direct to control of mind without wasting his time in practicing control of breath. A simple development of pranayama alone may confirm siddhi, which so many hanker for. When asked if there are any good restrictions, any food restrictions, Sri Bhagwan said, Nit hit bhuk, agreeable food in moderate quantity. When asked about the efficacy of bhakti, Sri Bhagwan said, so long as there is bhakti, there must be bhakti. So long as there is yoga, there must be yoga. So long as there is duality, there must be God and devotees. Similarly, also in vichara, so long as there is vichara, there is a duality too, but merging into the source, there is unity only. So it is with bhakti too. Realizing the God of devotion, there will be unity only. God too is thought of in and by the self. So God is identical with the self. If one is told to have bhakti for God and he does so straightway, it is all right. But there is another kind of man who turns around and says there are two, I and God. Before knowing the far of God, let me know the more immediate and intimate I. For him the vichara marg has to be taught. There is in fact no difference between bhakti and vichara. Talk number 155. The same man again asked about the nature of samadhi and the means to get samadhi. Maharshi, when the one who asks nature of samadhi and the method of getting into it vanishes, samadhi will result. Major Chadwick, it is said that one look of a Mahatma is enough. that idols, pilgrimages, etc. are not so effective. I have been here for 3 months, but I do not know how I have been benefited by look of Maharshi. Maharshi says, the look has a purifying effect. Purification cannot be visualized. Just as a piece of coal takes long to be ignited, a piece of charcoal takes a short time, and a mass of gunpowder is instantaneously ignited. So it is with grades of man coming into contact with Mahatmas. Mr. Cohen, I get into meditation and reach a point which may be called peace and a contemplative mood. What should be the next step? Mercy. Peace is self-realization. Peace need not be disturbed. One should aim at peace only. Devotee. But I do not have the satisfaction. Mercy. Because your peace is temporary. If made permanent, it is called realization. So, I end the video here, the last, and the next video will start 9th February 1936, talk number 156. So, Namaskar, my dear friends, please like, comment and share the video and subscribe my channel. Namaskar, मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों, my dear friends, नमस्कार, नमस्ते, 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 नमस्ते.